Alongside the reveal and launch of the iPhone 15 lineup, Apple announced that console-quality games would be coming to their Pro series of phones. We're going to look at that claim and see how it compares to the options available elsewhere. Let's boot up Resident Evil Village on an iPhone 15 Pro Max, a Nintendo Switch, and an Xbox, and see how they compare. It was only a matter of time before phones got powerful enough to run console-quality games. During Apple's iPhone event in early September, they announced that games like Death Stranding, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and Resident Evil Village, all games already out on home consoles, would also run on their new Pro phone models. So that's what we're testing out today. We've loaded up Capcom's horror action game Resident Evil Village on 3 different platforms and played through the first hour or so to see how they stack up against one another. These platforms include the newly released iPhone 15 Pro Max, an Xbox Series S, and the Nintendo Switch. It's worth noting that the Switch version of the game is actually a cloud-based game. This means the game isn't actually being run locally on the hardware, but streamed over the internet. In order to play Resident Evil Village on a Switch, your device must be connected online at all times. Both the iPhone 15 Pro Max and Xbox versions will be running locally. Here we have the iPhone version of the game running. You can see the game features touch controls if you'd like, but I decided to use a controller instead. Specifically, I'm using the Backbone 1 controller clip, which connects to an iPhone or Android phone and gives you all the controller inputs you'd expect. I love this device, and I've used one for years. I'll leave a link in the description if you want more information. What you're looking at here is the game running at its default display settings. What's really great about this version of the game is that you can fine-tune your graphics, much like you would on a PC game. On default, the iPhone does a good job of having the game run smoothly, but it actually ends up looking the worst compared to the other 2 platforms. We can see the textures are less detailed in both the surroundings and in character clothing. Ground textures are noticeably worse, with less density of things like foliage and texturing. When we crank everything up to the max, from 1280 by 720 up to 2796 by 1290, you can see the visuals improve greatly, but at a large hit to performance. Character movement is so slow here that it's pretty much unplayable. Outside of visuals, it's worth addressing the platform we're using. The phone is designed to dim and eventually lock itself when there's no screen interaction for a set period of time. The game doesn't stop this like when you're watching a movie. This meant that during some of the longer cutscenes, the game would pause itself and my phone would lock when playing. The last thing worth noting is that the phone ran very hot during all of this. I can only imagine how much hotter it may have gotten when pushed above default settings. Luckily, I had the controller clip, so I didn't actually feel much of this while gaming, but I can't imagine playing this with touch controls and having it heat up so drastically on top of that. It's unsurprising that the Xbox version of the game looks the best out of the 3 platforms. On the Series S, it displays a 1440p signal at around 45 frames per second. And while this isn't the best possible version of the game, it is clearly the best in this comparison. Textures and lighting are the most dynamic, and performance is smoothest. It's the most powerful platform we have here, so of course it would end up on top. The Switch version looks a lot muddier than the Xbox. Ground and foliage textures look compressed and less detailed. There's also noticeable lag due to the cloud nature of the game, even though I'm running on a Wi-Fi connection of around 250 down and 100 up. You can see how I'm constantly fighting with the camera overshooting and not tracking smoothly with my inputs. It doesn't help that you have this signal strength icon displayed in the top right corner at all times. I guess this is kind of similar to the notch cutout you have to live with on the iPhone. Overall, not a great way to play this game, and I don't know why anyone would choose this option. I'll show off a few more scenes side by side for you now.
About damn time.
It's you, the child's father.
Between the 3 platforms, the Xbox is the clear standout, with the iPhone 15 Pro coming up next and the Switch coming in last place. This isn't a surprising outcome, but it was great to see how well the phone version played. Outside of the heating issue, this is a totally serviceable way to play through Resident Evil Village if a console or PC isn't an option. And when compared to the next most portable device, the Nintendo Switch, it absolutely blows it out of the water. I never want to touch the Switch version again, and I recommend you don't either. But what do you think of the 3 options and how they compare? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.